The last human's ward meeting chamber smelled of rust and burnt metal. Around a circular table sat dozens of alien leaders, their eyes glowing like molten gold or blinking in hostile patterns. These were the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Warlords, chancellors, and fleet commanders who had destroyed entire worlds. They hated each other, but today they shared one goal: wiping out humanity completely. The word human was spoken like a curse throughout the galaxy. Humans were the most feared and hated species because they had been unpredictable in war, reckless, stubborn, and impossible to completely defeat. When the Great War ended 50 years ago, the victors thought they had destroyed Earth and killed all humans, but small rumors kept surfacing. Ships were being raided on the outer edges of space. Strange transmissions were intercepted. Whispers spoke of survivors. Among the alien delegates sat a man who didn't belong. He wore the black uniform of the Galactic delegation, but his name wasn't in any official records. His face wasn't his own: synthetic skin, altered bones, and changed eye color, all bought with stolen technology and blood. He looked like a lean Galactic officer with ceremonial tattoos down his neck. Inside, every nerve screamed with barely controlled rage. His real name was Daniel Ross, and he was human. The Council of Species droned on with new ideas about finishing what they thought they had already done. One representative suggested hunting refugee colonies in asteroid belts. A reptilian general proposed releasing a bioweapon designed to kill anyone with human DNA, even if they were hiding among other species. Daniel sat perfectly still, his voice silent. Every instinct told him to grab the hidden knife in his boot and start killing. But that would be pointless. More leaders would just replace the dead ones. He had come for something better than quick revenge. He wanted a strike that would echo across the stars. The Galactic chancellor beside him leaned close and whispered in their language, "You seem tense." "Officer, have the humans gotten under your skin too?" Daniel forced the alien's stiff accent from his altered throat. "If they're alive, they don't deserve to be." The light came smoothly. Though his hands itched for violence, above the table floated a massive, three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Bright red sectors marked search zones where they planned to hunt for human survivors. Daniel watched it spin slowly, his eyes tracing one point near the Perseus arm of the galaxy. He knew what was hidden there: not a human colony or military base, but something far more dangerous if the Council found it. Something that could erase the last trace of his people forever. The chamber doors were sealed shut with a heavy clang. No one could leave until the session ended. Daniel studied every face, every twitch, every sneer. One wrong movement would reveal he wasn't one of them, and if they realized the truth, he'd have to start killing immediately. The holographic map kept spinning, casting pale light across the stone walls, and reflecting in the eyes of creatures who had burned entire worlds for simple grudges. Daniel's gaze stayed fixed on the red sector near the Perseus arm. The others saw it as just another potential search zone, but he knew what sat in the cold darkness there. Athena Station was a hidden archive vault buried deep inside a hollowed asteroid. It contained the last intact database of pre-war Earth knowledge, medical research, military strategies, engineering blueprints, and files for weapons humanity never had the chance to build. If the Council found it, they would erase not just human life, but the memory of it entirely. Daniel had one chance to make sure that never happened. The Galactic chancellor raised a clawed hand and spoke in his rasping voice. "I propose we focus our next strike on Sector Gamma 42, the Perseus arm." Daniel didn't move, but his pulse hammered in his ears. Murmurs rippled around the table. A towering reptilian warlord leaned forward, his scaly arms flexing. Humans wouldn't hide there. Too exposed, too close to patrol routes. The chancellor clicked his insect-like mouth parts. "Perhaps. But that's exactly why they might, hiding in plain sight." Daniel felt the moment balanced on a knife's edge. If the Council voted to search there, Athena Station's days were numbered. But if he opposed the motion too aggressively, someone might wonder why a Galactic officer cared enough to resist. He needed a diversion. When another representative took the floor, Daniel's eyes moved to the holographic map's control device floating at the center of the table. It hovered a meter above the ground, responding to each speaker's commands. If he could override its targeting system, he could redirect the Council's attention somewhere else entirely, somewhere dangerous enough to keep them busy for months. The opportunity came faster than expected. Halfway through another alien's proposal, one of the chamber's automated drones drifted in from a side corridor, carrying hydration flasks for the attendees. One passed in front of Daniel. He let his clawed hand sweep just wide enough to accidentally knock the drone off balance. It jerked sideways, spilling flasks across the floor. Pale green liquid spread under the table. Pooling near the feet of a jellyfish-like envoy, the creature recoiled violently, knocking over its chair with a wet slapping sound. Perfect chaos erupted. "I'll handle it," Daniel muttered to the Chancellor beside him. Standing before the alien could protest, he circled the table like someone dealing with an unimportant mess. But when he passed behind another delegate seat, his pace slowed just long enough for his left hand to brush the holographic map's control device. Hidden in his boot heel was more than just the blade. A compact hacking device, barely detectable, even by scanners, let him press his heel against the control device for less than 2 seconds. Just long enough to inject override code into the system's navigation AI. He moved on, collected the spilled flasks, righted the overturned chair, and returned to his seat. By the time the current speaker finished, the holographic map shimmered, flickered, and recalibrated. The Perseus arm disappeared from the priority red markings, replaced by a cluster of glowing crimson dots along the far edge of the outer rim. The chamber reacted exactly as Daniel had hoped. Voices rose in intrigue and hostility. Someone demanded to know why those sectors weren't already being patrolled. The reptilian warlord slammed a fist on the table, declaring those zones were infested with illegal trade and unclaimed technology that could fund human insurgents. The vote was quick and unanimous. The outer rim sweeps would begin immediately. Athena Station was safe for now, but Daniel's relief was short-lived. When the session recessed, he stood to leave, only to find himself blocked by a tall, thin figure in a deep red cloak. The cloak's hood hid most of the alien's face, but the voice from within was low and deliberate. "You're not Carrick," it said, in perfect trade language. The words hit like a knife to the ribs. Daniel didn't flinch. "And you're watching," he replied. "I saw you touch the control device," the figure said. Daniel let out a slow breath, keeping his expression neutral. "I was cleaning up a spill." The cloaked alien gave a soft chuckle, as if amused by the attempt. "I don't care why you did it, but I know you changed the vote, and I know the Carrick wouldn't risk the wrath of the reptilians without a good reason." Daniel's hand twitched toward his boot. The cloaked figure noticed. "You could try to kill me here," the alien continued, "but then you'd never know what I know about your Athena Station." That froze Daniel completely. The alien leaned close enough for him to smell something sharp and metallic, like burnt ozone. "Meet me at docking bay 9 after the 3rd chime. Come alone." Before Daniel could respond, the figure vanished into the stream of delegates leaving the chamber. Back in his assigned quarters, Daniel checked the door lock twice before stripping off the upper layers of his Carrick uniform. He pulled a thin scanner from a hidden wall compartment, a human device, old and patched together, but it still hummed softly when activated. He ran it over his own body, scanning for tracking devices. None. Good. The cloaked alien's words wouldn't leave his mind. Whoever they were, they knew too much, enough to ruin everything if they spoke to the wrong ears. But that also meant they could be useful, at least until Daniel figured out their true motives. When the 3rd chime echoed faintly through the station's metallic corridors, Daniel was already halfway to docking bay 9. The bay was nearly empty, except for a row of cargo haulers and a lone maintenance craft. The cloaked alien stood near the edge of the docking ring, staring out at the dark space beyond the station's protective barrier. "You came," the figure said without turning. Daniel stopped 3 paces behind him. "Talk." The alien reached into his cloak and produced a small hexagonal data crystal. "This contains a fragment of the Athena Station access codes. Without them, your archive will be nothing but dead stone."